All right, so we got a special boxing edition, Sideline Sports. I called up the best person I know when I want to talk boxing, John Shear, and me, myself, JB Ellis. We're going to talk a little boxing. JBE Promotions has another great event going on. It's going to be at the Atrium on Saturday, March 30th. The doors open at 6. The first bell's at 7. We're going to have the two guys in the main event, Micah Hunt and Miles Mizell. Micah's 4-0, and Miles is 7-0. Very rare you see two guys that are undefeated go at it. So this is going to be interesting. And we can see Miles backstage now. The camera's working good. So John, I mean, it's been a while since we spoke boxing, especially on this show. And then, what's even better is we have a local promotion. Gabriel does the JB Promotions, which is local to Atlanta. So that's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, it is pretty cool, and I mean, how many shows out there have guys that are gonna fight each other on the boxing card on the same show? I think
Right?
that's pretty cool, and special shout out and thank you to Gabrielle for for having these guys on our program. We really appreciate it.
Well, it says a lot about the type of program he runs
Yep,
and the professionalism of both Micah and Miles. That they can both sit there and they respect their opponent, but yet they still know they got to promote the fight so they can get people in, so that people can see what great work they put in.
of
So I got
course
to give them a lot of respect for that.
they have a job to do, but they also understand that, not only do they have a job to do, but they want to win. They want to be the best. Not only do their job, but they want to be the best. And to be the best, you got to
Exactly.
beat the best.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a great match. I'm sure there's other great matches on the card. Let's bring in Gabriel to find out more. Hey, welcome to the show.
Yo, man, how you guys doing today?
Doing great. Doing great. So tell us a little bit
Doing
about
great.
what's been happening with the promotions.
Well, the last time we were on your show was around, I think it was November of last year. So we took a break. The new year started, new talents arising. So we went right back at it. Was blessed to have a co-promotion, if you will, with Sugarbird Boxing. So we decided to put a card together, and here we are. We're ready to have a show next Saturday, and it's an exciting card. I've got a lot of the good local talent in Atlanta ready to come out and just put on a great show for the audience.
That's awesome. So this fight's going to be at the Atrium. Last time I think we spoke, I think the fight was there as well.
The fight is going to be back at the Atrium. Good relationships are hard to find, and they're not easily broken. So we decided to bring the show back, and hopefully the show grows from there. Who knows? But it's a great venue. It's camera friendly. The audience loves it. So it's just a great spot to have a fight at.
So how many fights are on the card?
We have 7 fights right now. Of course, we have Hot Rod, who's going to be the main event. We have a fighter called K Champ, is very popular out here, who's going to be the co-main event. And then preceding them, we have Miles Marzell and Micah Hunt, which is two great local fighters, just ready to go out there and make a name for themselves. We have a couple of other guys on the undercards. I don't want to get too much into the weeds in it, but it's a great card. We always put a great card together.
That's awesome. So um, you're saying that this is pretty much the what? So we have this one going on March 30th. What do you think about the next promotion will be coming up?
Well, we're thinking about doing it at the end of July. There's a lot of different new people in boxing that are doing different types of promotions. So we're trying to strategically navigate how we have our shows to make sure that we're not crossing paths with different promotional companies. I mean, we all love boxing. Everything's good for boxing, but we don't want to have any, we both don't want to have an event on the same day. So we're looking at, maybe late summer. We've had some guys that's come through our fight cards that actually have gotten big contracts with Top Rank, and some other good boxing promotional companies out there. So, hopefully we can have another great year like we did last year and try to make some of these guys stars.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Questions,
So
John?
yeah, I have a question. So, what would you say, or how would you say you've helped bring the sport of boxing kind of sort of back to life? Because it's struggled, for years, but you seem to be doing a great job with it. not only in your area but just in general?
I don't look at it as bringing it back to life. I think that boxing has always been there. I just think it kind of took a back seat to other promotions that have gotten famous over time. Me being a boxing fan, there's still people out there that still like real, genuine boxing. And I think that with our goal is when you have a young boxer and you are able to follow their path to becoming a world champion, I think that's what makes the sport great. And I think that we haven't had the opportunity to have that, to see that these days. And that's why I'm so passionate about JB Promotions and these events that we put on. We've got guys that are just starting fresh and they're trying to get their foot in the door. And I think that's just part of loving the sport of boxing, is watching your favorite boxer or a guy who has potential hold up a belt one day and say, hey, I'm a world champion. You feel like you win with it.
Doesn't hurt to have a great name, JB Promotions. I mean, obviously the best name in the business.
Hey,
nobody else was close.
You're right. I gotta agree with that. That's just a great name. Don't sue me in the
future. All right, so I got to ask you before we get to Micah and Miles. So about a week and a half ago, it came out that there's going to be an exhibition boxing match between Jake Paul, who's kind of like a joke, at least I think so.
Yeah.
And I'll let John give his opinion on that. Against Mike Tyson, who was probably one of the greatest heavyweights of the last 40 years.
Ever.
I don't know about ever, but definitely the last 40 years.
He's
really good.
That guy's a killer, man. You watched him in his prime. I mean,
I agree, but you can't compare like different eras, so that's why I said one of the greatest ever. Definitely the best of his era.
Definitely.
So what do you think? Yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I don't know. So what do you think about the exhibition match?
I honestly, when it first came out, it was just kind of like a little strange, but an exhibition is an exhibition. It doesn't count against anybody's record. It's just purely entertainment. And I don't want to talk bad about, somebody else's vision or business of, what their vision is for boxing. But let's just face it, it's not real boxing. But I think that it's become popular because the fans are so hungry for boxing, and the promoters out there aren't giving them what they want, that they're watching it. They're buying it, and they're having buyer's remorse after they see it. And when they do another show, it's going to be the same thing over and over again. I mean, it's just, to me, it's a mockery, honestly. It just takes away from what real boxing is, and it doesn't count. I think if I was a kid watching that, I wouldn't want to say, hey, that's what I want to do when I grow up,
That's fair. I definitely got to agree with you on that. So how can people get tickets for the Atrium?
Tickets are on FreshTix.com. The link is on our bio on our Instagram page. You can follow us at j.be.promotions. As soon as you get on the page, click the link in the bio, and boom, you'll be right there. I do want to say that, we're almost sold out. So if you're wanting to come, please click on the link and buy your tickets. Everything's sold online. They're selling fast.
That's awesome. You almost got a sellout already. Have you guys thought about bigger venue for next time possibly? Or
I think it's for a small time promoter like I think it's every promoter's dream to go to somewhere like the State Farm Arena or, the Mercedes-Benz Stadium downtown in Atlanta. Absolutely. I think that what makes what we're doing different is it's a very organic grassroots thing. We didn't start out big, and I don't, we have a target type of fighter that we have, but of course, we would love to grow to get to State Farm Arena or, even Mercedes-Benz. I mean, hopefully that's the goal.
That's awesome. So you want to stay on screen while we bring on Micah?
Sure.
All right, so let's bring on Micah Hunt. Micah is 4-0, junior middleweight. He's going to be fighting Miles Mizell, the Sandman, on March 30th at the Atrium. Doors open at 6. The first bell is at 7. Micah, what's your nickname? You got to have a nickname. Everyone does in boxing.
I guess they use Magnificent, so just a little alliteration.
What was it? I'm sorry.
The Magnificent.
I like it.
Yeah. Right.
There we go. Very
Same
cool.
and
So
magnificent.
you're from Atlanta, the Atlanta area?
Yeah.
Nice.
Mhm.
And what brought you into boxing?
I've always wanted to box since I was 12. As soon as I turned 18, I just went and jumped into the gym and got started.
That's awesome. Did you do any amateur boxing, or you just went
Uh,
straight to pro?
oh no, actually, I definitely did. I did some amateur boxing and I did some amateur mixed martial arts as well. And that's actually where I met Miles and his amateur boxing. We fought before, and I'm not sure if Miles will remember, but I think I first started boxing was to this gym called. And I don't know, he was like a little kid there, so it's kind of like it's interesting to know, how life turns full circle like that.
Yep.
And now we're fighting each other in the pro ranks.
So wait, so you guys grew up both in Atlanta and you in the same gym, and now you guys are gonna fight each other on this phenomenal card by JB Promotions. That's pretty wild.
It's like so I think we both started at the gym, and then we kind of realized that it wasn't if you wanted to really take your boxing career seriously. So we both eventually left, but we were there together at some point. I don't know if he remembers, but I do remember seeing him as a kid being up there.
That's pretty cool. Now, so you're 4-0, right?
Mm-hmm.
And tell us a little bit about your first fight when you were, you no record,
Mm-hmm.
your first time as a pro. What was going on in your mind that night?
It was a whole lot going on in my mind. I felt like there was a lot riding on it because I don't know. I guess at the time I felt like it was kind of the only route I could take. Well, not really the only route, but it felt like a very important route for me to be taking. So I felt like I wanted to get everything right. And of course, you've got the fear factor of somebody possibly making you look silly in there and everything like that. And when I got in there, I felt good once I got in there and got things rolling.
Oh, I have a question that makes me always wonder. So boxing, it's basically one of the few sports that's one-on-one, right? But yet behind you, you have your cornerman, your cutman, your trainer. How important are they to what you do, especially during the fight itself? Not during the training, but fight night.
I think they're very important. I think at first, having a confident coach or cornerman is very important because if they're not confident, that kind of like leads off onto you. And then also if they're not telling you the right things to do, then they'll get you steamrolled in there, and that's never good.
Interesting. Questions, John?
Yeah, can you talk a little bit, if you're able to, about the training regimen or your practice regimen leading up to a fight like this? Like, what is something like that entail? What does that look like? If you're allowed to talk about that.
I think that's pretty typical. I think everybody does kind of a lot of the similar things. They run, they hit the bag, they hit the mitts with their coach. They spar with various people, and that's the main thing. And of course, you have to restrict your eating and everything like that, and it's kind of a lifestyle change in a way.
So linking back to your training, and as you're still training with a couple of weeks to go, what one, I guess, skill or thing that you do to train do you like the most, and which one do you think you need to improve upon the most?
What thing do I like to train the most? I don't know. I think everybody likes hitting mitts. I think that's probably the best thing. Everybody likes hitting mitts the most.
I love hitting.
Right. Yeah. Everybody loves hitting mitts. As far as like you said what's to improve, or just like, the first thing.
The thing in your head, because it may not be actually the thing you have to most improve on, but you personally, looking at what you've done, what do you think you need to improve on most?
I don't know. I'm not really sure. I would just say probably one of the more monotonous things is hitting the bag by yourself, or hitting the speed bag by yourself. That could be a little boring.
I can imagine. Now, do you go away to camp, or do you train in the Atlanta area?
I actually train in the Atlanta area.
Okay. Is there a lot of boxers where you train, or is it you and your trainer one-on-one?
There's actually quite a few amateurs at my gym. So yeah, you
That's
have a lot
awesome.
of different people working, and they're working towards a similar goal. So it kind of helps you to stay focused when you see those guys and their energies rubbing off on you and stuff.
What
Well,
gym do you go to?
It's a gym called a Fighter for Life. It's on Metropolitan on the south side of Atlanta.
what would you say about the Sandman? What would you say his greatest attribute is in a fight? I mean, I'm sure you've watched tape on him.
I would say that he's I'd say he's pretty technical, and I'd say he's technically sound, and I'm not sure. I feel like I don't feel like he's as far as as far as preparation. So I would say that.
Interesting. So, where is your career going from this particular event? What do you have in mind that's next?
What's next? We just, I guess, would be the next name after that. I mean, when I'm not obviously not looking past Miles, but that would be, we're just going to see what the next opportunity is after that.
So, the boxing scene in Atlanta, right?
Mhm.
Have all your fights taken place there, or have you gone outside?
I'm going outside of Atlanta, and I've had a few fights here as well.
Where else have you fought?
I fought in North Carolina. I've also fought in like Virginia, and then I've had a few canceled fights in like Florida. I fought, and then the rest of the fights I fought here in Atlanta. I've also fought in Macon, Georgia, which is it's basically down south, like an hour and some change away.
That's awesome. So, are the fights in Atlanta tougher, or the boxers better, or is it just one of those things you just fight wherever you can get the opportunity?
I think it's one of those things where you can fight and you get the. I think as far as the opponent, I think it just I think it just depends where you're at. Like, well, who they decide to put in front of you. I don't think
Okay.
any particular region, I guess, has any. Well, I guess people say Philly and all that, but I don't think any particular region is automatically going to mean you're going to have a harder fight. You just happen to go up there, and if your opponent is a good opponent, then you'll have a fight. Opponent's a sorry opponent, then you'll have an easy night.
And what goes through the decision-making process when you're presented with who you might fight? Do you get multiple people that are brought to you and then you're like, I want to choose certain person? Or is it just one person put in front of you and you have to fight that person? How does that work?
It's normally multiple people are put in front of you, and it's kind of up to timing in a way. I guess sometimes they might throw somebody to you and they're like, oh yeah, we want you to fight them in a week. That's not going to work. They want you to fight them in a week, and then we want you to go all the way across the country. That's not going to work. And, so you have to cut all this weight, and then you've got some other things that seem a little bit better. And as far as Miles goes, I think they were actually giving out a fair deal. They were like, yeah, we'll give you like maybe 5-6 weeks to train, and yeah.
That seems more than fair. 5-6 weeks seems more than fair, and an adequate amount of time to train.
Right. I definitely agree. Yeah. I think it needs to be 5 or 6 weeks if you're unless if you're fighting somebody that's actually a decent caliber. I would say you need at least 5 to 6 weeks. Otherwise, you're just kind of getting thrown in there to the wolves. To me.
So, who's your style? Who do you take after? Somebody that our fans would be out there, they may recognize.
I don't know. I don't want to say too much because I feel like that might give Miles like more because we haven't fought in a long time. So he might be thinking like, oh yeah, I'm gonna look him up. I'm not gonna give that to him.
I like it. We got secrets going here. Miles is sitting in the back with the notepad. I see him taking notes. He's saying, all right, I'm gonna get this guy. I got Mike. I remember.
That's funny.
So Gabriel, how did you get Micah and Miles to be on the card? Like, where did you see them? How do you scout the talent?
Well, I mean, this particular fight, I can't take any credit for. Again, Sugarbird Boxing and Sugarbird Boxing Promotions had this fight on their card. So I can't take any credit for it. The only thing I could take credit for is that I used to go to Bert's gym and train a year or so ago. Miles would be there, And, I used to ask Miles. I'm not a boxer, of course, and I always try to train, and I try to throw a hook, try to throw an uppercut. And Miles would like, no, you got to do it like this. You got to do it like this. Bert would be the same way. He was my personal coach, so. I couldn't take any credit for this fight. I've seen Miles in the gym before. I've been to Miles fights before. I just met Micah Hunt, but I do know, the knowledge of them knowing each other. But yeah, this is all Sugar Bert Boxing's brain right here. I just was lucky enough to be in the way when things were getting put together for this particular fight, and that's how boxing works.
So, Micah, you're going to have a lot of, since you're from the area, you're going to have a lot of family and friends there to cheer you on.
Yes, sir. That's the plan.
Nice. Mm-hmm. You guys sell any memorabilia? Like, I had a guy from Long Island that used to sell T-shirts every fight. And, I can see the magnificent T-shirts out there. Are you selling them or no?
I'm not selling them right now. I should, though.
There you go.
Maybe
there
next
you go.
time.
There's
That's
your next fight.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, he used to sell out. It was great. He was a policeman, and then he would fight, and then he, his family would help him. They would sell. I forget what his name was, but he would have a slogan, and then he would sell like 100 T-shirts like every time. Good money, something to do and to get the fans behind you.
Right, that's a great hustle you had right there. Then
I might need to try that.
Right.
Right. Do you guys have any merchandise, Gabriel?
We got a little bit of merchandise. I mean, I play around with designs. I got hoodies and stuff that we put on our staff when we have our fights. And I like to say that I've got a little bit of fashion sense. So we're playing around with stuff. When the time is right, we'll bring the merchandise out. I will say that people seeing us walk through the crowd during fights and having our stuff on are like, hey, we want one of those. Can you get one of those? So eventually we'll have some merchandise and put some things out, some hoodies, maybe some gloves. Who knows?
So,
nice.
Micah, I have a question. When it comes to your ring attire, do you wear anything like special, or what are you going to wear to the ring? I know some boxers like to wear some, fancy things or anything special that you're going to wear, like a cool robe or whatever, has your nickname on it, anything like that?
Nothing too special. Just the trunks with whatever color I decide I like, and some cool shoes and socks and all that kind of stuff. Those are just some of the things I feel like I need to have to feel good. Like Deion Sanders said, you look good, you feel good, play good, they pay good, all that. So.
And what music you coming out to? Do you come out to any music?
I'm not sure just yet. I'm not sure. Maybe I'll do some old Gucci Man or something like that. Who knows?
Wow, Micah, it's definitely been a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you.
John, do you have any other questions for Micah before we let him go?
No, we really appreciate your time.
Yes, likewise.
Best of luck to you. It's tough because we're interviewing both sides of it. So, I wish you both the best of luck. But now we can't root for anybody because we're interviewing you both.
We just want a great fight. We want a great card. Want it to be sold out. Great card. That's what we want.
Definitely, yeah. I'm pretty sure Miles is coming to fight, so I know it's going to be a great fight. I'm just going to win it.
Well, best of luck to you, Micah. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
All right. Next, we got coming in. We got the Sandman, Miles Mizell. I love the nickname, Miles.
What's going on, awesome. Everybody?
Thank you for joining us.
How's everything going tonight with you?
I can't complain. I just got off work, went straight to the gym.
Nice. So you have a job as well besides boxing, so that shows that you have the desire to do this.
Yep.
So 7-0. Tell us a little bit about your first 7 pro fights. About any challenges you may have had, or what sticks out to you.
I would say, okay, so my first 7 fights, I think all of them were challenging in their own way. I mean, obviously the first fight, it was fighting in a different environment that I was used to. My second pro fight, I fought another person who was 1-0. So that was my first time fighting another undefeated fighter. And then other than that, I would say for the rest of the fights, it was just like, I don't know, like the preparation was easy because I've been training and fighting my whole life. So it wasn't anything that I was like, the fight part wasn't anything that I wasn't already used to. But then lately I've been fighting 6-round fights instead of 4-round fights. So it was just like stretching out the extra distance. Because in the amateurs, it's only 3 rounds. Then when you first turn pro, it's only 4 rounds. So now this is technically the longest I've ever gone in a boxing match. So it's like a test of mental stamina and physical stamina now.
Okay, so this fight's going to be how many rounds? 6?
Honestly, I think 6. I'm not even sure. It might be 8. I haven't actually looked at the contract.
It's 6. It's 6 rounds.
It's 6 rounds. Okay. All right. Well, I was ready for 8. So.
So
I mean,
Micah
you might not even need 6 or 8. You know?
That's true. You never know.
So Micah remembers, growing up, seeing you in the gym. You guys started out at that same gym, and then you went, your own ways when you left there. Do you remember anything about Micah from the gym back in the day?
I do actually remember Micah. I remember the gym we used to train at. We were first training at X3 Sports over in Marietta. That's when I was like 11. I'm not sure what point in time that he joined the gym, but I remember the amateur show that we all fought at. We was like, man, I don't know about this gym. Let's go find somewhere else. Because it was like 7 of us in that gym, and we all lost the fight, but we all lost bad. I was like, wait a minute, nah, let's go somewhere else and figure this out. But yeah, so I left X3, and I'm training at this gym in Doraville called Sugarbird Boxing Club, and I've been here since 13. I'm 25 now, so I'm pretty happy with where I'm training at now. And then I turned pro in 2021, but I actually did end up fighting Micah in the Golden Gloves as an amateur when I was like 16, and I mean they gave it to him, but I mean for everybody who was watching, that's why I'm so interested in this fight, because for everybody who was there watching, they know actually I won the fight. So I guess I don't know. It was like a political thing going on, but I mean it was no way you could like give it to him, because I was catching him on the way in and everything.
John, this may be our first taste of controversy in this fight.
I
don't know.
like it. I welcome that.
It's a little bit of history behind the match, and that's what makes it one of the better fights on our card. No disrespect to anybody that's on the card, but this is a good one that a lot of people in Atlanta are waiting to see.
Hey, you always want drama. You always want. I mean, that's why the NFL and all those sports do so well. You always want the drama, in addition to the actual fight, the actual match, whatever it is, sport it is. You want the drama. You want the juice. This fight brings that.
Right.
You want people to be connected to it somehow. The fact that you guys have fought before, and you feel it's a controversial decision, definitely is something to be said, and it'll be interesting to see. Now that you have a chance to show the world a second time, what happens.
Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to it.
So where have you fought with your 7 fights? Have they all been in Atlanta? Have you gone outside?
For the most part, all but one has been in Atlanta. I had one. My last fight was in Alabama. But yeah, for the most part, I've trained in Ohio. I've trained in Detroit. I've trained in DC. But as far as like actual fighting as a pro, because in the amateurs I trained all over the country and stuff. But as a pro, I've only fought in Atlanta. And my last fight was the first time I actually fought out of Georgia. I fought in Alabama.
Awesome. So we heard the Sugarbird Boxing for a couple of times this show. Mm-hmm. So tell people out there that, like ourselves, never heard of Sugarbird Boxing before tonight, a little bit about it, because it sounds like they have a great program, and especially for our listeners in the Atlanta area that are interested in boxing, it may be a place to check out.
Yeah, so I've been coming to the Sugarbird Boxing Club since 2012, and actually they're a gym. This is a program that actually hosts like their own national tournaments. And this year they're hosting the Georgia Golden Gloves. So they're actually pretty connected with the whole USA Boxing organization and different gyms from around the country. And that's actually how I got the hookup with going over to Cincinnati, because they got relationships in Cincinnati with Mike Stafford. Rest in peace to Mike Stafford. And just opened me up to get connected with a bunch of different coaches, picking people's brains and stuff. So yeah, I think it was all in all, it's a great program. Kind of bringing back we're trying to bring back get a bigger spotlight on the Georgia boxing. Because I feel like we have a lot of great fighters in this city, but it's like we don't have that same spotlight that a lot of fight cities had. So that's kind of like the whole mission behind Sugar Bear Boxing, is to just bring that spotlight for young talent to shine.
That's really cool. So you said you went pro in 2021?
Yeah, I did. I turned pro in 2021, so this is about 3 years now.
Okay. So you're fighting about once every 4 months or so, about approximately?
Yeah, definitely not as often as I would like to, but I mean that sometimes fights fight out. Some things happen that you can't really control. Typically the ideal is to fight like 3, 4, maybe 5 times a year. I think my first year was the most active I've been. But then after that, I guess word got around. People didn't want to fight me no more after the first 3 fights. So I had one. What's funny is I actually had my fourth fight. What was supposed to be my fourth fight. The dude had signed the contract and everything. Then on the day of the weigh-in, we kind of find out he never got on the plane to come to the state to fight. So then I couldn't.
Wow.
I was just sitting there watching everybody else fight. And then let's see, I had another who signed the contract, but then he never got his medicals done. So it was a whole situation. So I mean, I definitely would like to be in my way. I'd like to have at least 10 by now, but it is what it is. So I just all I can control is how hard I train, dedicate myself to the sport. Whenever a fight does come around, I'm ready for it.
Now, do boxers get their proper compensation if they get put in a situation like that? So if you sign your part and you're ready and you're there, but the other person doesn't show up, do you still get compensated as you should for the fight? Like, how does that work?
That particular show, it was a small local show, so I wasn't going to get paid from that fight anyway, besides ticket sales. But then even the ticket sales, they were all coming to see me, so since I wasn't fighting, I had to give all that back. So that I didn't really get anything out of that one. But I know there are some shows on like the bigger scales where if a fight were to fall through last minute like that, sometimes the other fighter does get compensated if they can't find somebody else for you to fight last minute.
Okay.
And see, that's a good question, and I'm glad that you asked that, because when you're dealing with boxers and boxing, one thing that is not a secret. A lot of guys, when they start boxing, the business aspect of it when you first start out is not really existent, because payday is so hard to get to, and that's why you're building yourself up to get to that record so that you can. And I, one thing about JB Promotions and the movement that we have is we have an exposure. We give these guys an opportunity to explore not just the boxing side, but the marketing side.
Of course.
You have to be able to market yourself. You have to be able to sell yourself, and you can't always rely up to the promoter to do it for you. And it's important. It's something that you could take on, moving on through your career, no matter whose card you're on. These guys, as young boxers, need to understand how the business and the stuff works early. So that you can maximize out of your career when you do make it.
Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, you guys are young, Miles. You're young. Micah, you're young. So you understand social media. You understand that's kind of the world you grew up in, is, having to have a presence on social media. If you want to become popular, if you want to become known, you kind of have to get yourself out there on social media, because your fights aren't going to that can't be the only thing that speaks for speaks for you, because of the world we live in. Like the 90s, I'm sure your fights would speak for themselves, but this day and age, you have to be a great fighter, but you also have to have a presence online. Right, Miles?
Yeah, that's right. I would actually add on to that and say it's more about putting yourself out there now than if you can actually fight. Now you got people like Jake Paul coming around fighting.
Yep.
Mike Tyson never boxed a day in his life, but now he's making millions of dollars and everything. So,
but somebody like you and Mike are you guys are undefeated, and you guys do a great job, and you own your craft, but you're not fighting Mike Tyson, because he's out there able to market himself. Jake Paul's able to market himself, and I would say he's nowhere close to what you and Mika are whenever it comes to fighters, but he's able to market himself. And, like you said, that goes a long way in today's day and age. It's not the 90s or 80s anymore where fighting kind of takes care of everything.
Yeah, totally different. I mean, having to learn social media Not fun.
Not-
Not a fun experience.
Nah, they got algorithms and everything. You got to figure out
Yeah.
how to hit a big audience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never owned an Instagram account until I started JB Promotions, and I tell you, I mean, I get it, but it was tough. I mean, I never had an account until I got one. Now I see why it's so valuable. I mean, it's definitely valuable. It's a great tool to market, no matter what you do.
Yeah, you gotta put the right hashtag in, score it to the
Yep.
right song and everything to reach the big audience, reach the right
And-
audience.
And you have to post at the right time
At
too.
the right time.
Oh yeah,
Right time of day.
yeah. You can't just post it when you feel like posting
Nope.
it because there's not gonna be no views.
And if you do all that, you may get a lot of likes and watches. But if you miss one of them, you'll get 13.
Right. Absolutely.
No rhyme or reason. So, Miles, are you in the gym right now?
Yeah, I'm in the gym right now. As soon as we get out of here, I got to get my workout in.
So, while we're there, could you show us a little bit about Sugar Birch Gym? Would you be able to walk around, maybe show us where you train? Is that allowed?
Yeah, true. Actually, can
Show
I
me
flip?
the gym, Miles. Go ahead, show
Let
me
me
gym.
see. There's a way I can flip this around.
This is so cool
There you
because
go.
Yeah,
real-
all right.
they're working out right now. Yeah, that's what's so.
I mean,
Show y'all around the gym right quick.
I mean, not many shows get to go and see the inside of a professional training center for a boxer. But
That's beautiful.
This is real people out here doing real boxing.
Got another side over here. Got a treadmill.
that's pretty awesome.
Right there. We really got a lot of fun. It usually be crowded in here.
You see, and this is the best part about Sugar Birch Gym. See the young kids in there. Those kids are in there trying. They're living a dream.
I don't want to show y'all too much. We got pros in here. I don't know how to feel about it.
Yeah. No, I understand.
No, that was pretty cool though. We got a nice little taste for it. So, if you happen to see that and you're in the Atlanta area and you're looking for a gym, I mean, that looks like the place I'd want to go. I mean, they look like they have all the equipment. They look like they know what to do. And they got Miles, who's 7-0. I'm sure Micah's gym's just as good. He's 4-0, but Micah is doing his thing. But we've been hearing about Sugar Bird all night, and that gym looked really cool.
And for those that are listening on the radio in Atlanta right now, go and check out Sideline Sports YouTube. If you want to see that, you can go watch this. You can watch this video on there if you want to see what we're talking about. But yeah, go on, JB. Just to throw that out.
No, I mean, that was really awesome. Go to sidelinesportsnet.com, the website.
Yeah.
It should be on there as well. But so I asked Micah the same thing. So what skill do you train at? Do you think you're best, and which one do you think that you need to work on?
What do I feel I'm best at? Well, anybody in boxing that knows me will all tell you the best thing. My best skill set is my jab, but what they don't know is I'm actually good at everything. So I wouldn't say I have a particular strength. They just haven't seen all that I'm good at. And I would say what I'm weak is that I wouldn't even say I have a weakness. It's just because I'm working on every facet of my game all the time. So I wouldn't say I have a weak area. It's just some areas, just because of the way that I fight, I only have to use some areas. I haven't had to use everything yet.
Now, in your 7 fights, have you been challenged yet where you felt that, there was a chance you could have lost?
I would say not the fight was challenging, but it was me and my cornerman challenging myself to fight at a higher level. So like the fight itself, as hard of a fight as they tried to bring, it wasn't really that challenging because it wasn't nothing I hadn't seen before. It was just my performance was up to our standards that we held for me.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Where do you see yourself going after the fight with Micah?
After this fight, I don't know. I would love to say after this fight, I see myself elevating, but there's one thing I've learned in this game is nothing's going to go quite the way you think it's going to go. So I'm just, all I know for sure is how, like I said before, how dedicated I am going to be to the game. So when another opportunity does come around, I'm already ready for it. So I can just jump on whatever fight.
All right. So my last question that I have to you. So you go to work whenever you're scheduled to work. which I have a lot of respect for. Then you
Oh,
go
for
to the
sure.
gym,
Yep.
right? So how do you keep yourself motivated to get up and go to work when you know you want to be boxing full time?
Mm-hmm.
How is it that you're able to keep yourself motivated to go to your 9 to 5 job to be ready to box?
Now you just really gotta love what you're doing. You gotta fall in love with not just the winning, not just the fighting, but you gotta love every bit of the process that comes with doing what you're doing. So you can't just say you love to win and you don't love to lose. You gotta really love boxing. So I even find just going to the gym every day, training, even running in the morning before I go to work, I love every bit of it.
That's awesome. Any other questions you had for Miles, John?
Yeah, yeah. So when you turn pro, like,
Mhm.
does your life change at all? Like, what changes? I guess for you, does anything change? Like when you turn pro, kind of like when somebody goes to the NFL, their life changes. You said you
Mhm.
turn pro at 21. Like, what changes in your life when you're like, hey, I'm now a pro?
I would say the switch is when you're an amateur fighting as a kid and you're growing up, it's just something else that you do that you really want to like to do. But then, like, if you really want to succeed as a pro at the pro level, it kind of switches. It switched from being just like a hobby or an outlet, and it switched to being like your lifestyle. So it's no longer just something that you do. It's that's who you are at this point, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. And like, are you a lot more busy? Are you getting a lot more like, phone calls, emails, all that stuff from, you know what I mean, from people out there that want a piece of you?
Um, Lately, yeah. So I guess like the more you win, because we have this website called BoxRec. So as your record builds up, because people are looking for opponents all the time, so the more
Right.
wins you rack up, the more appealing you are to other promoters and stuff. So
Yeah.
I wish after I had like 5 wins, that's when I started getting calls. So
Okay.
people will call and say, hey, you want to fight so and so for X amount of dollars at on this date at this location, and if there was some that I said yes to, and then they just went with somebody else because it's like a whole pool of people they have to choose from. But then there's some that was just if the circumstances weren't right or whatever the terms of the fight didn't make sense for somebody at my level, so we just had to pass on it. But the second I get a good one, I'm gonna jump on it for sure.
That's awesome. Any other questions, John?
No, that's about all I got. That
So,
was wonderful.
Miles, thank you so much for your time. Micah, Miles, best of luck to you. Gabriel, stay on for a few minutes. We're going to talk a little bit more
Yeah,
about
thank you for
the
your time, by the
promotion.
way.
But thank you for showing us the gym as well, Miles. Micah,
Oh, no problem,
uh,
no problem.
best of luck to you both, as I said, and I know it's going to be a great fight. And hopefully, both of you come out better than when you started it. It's a shame one of you's got to lose, but you know, let's hope you guys both do well. That even at a loss, one of you's will still look better.
I don't know if we both gonna do well. I know I'm gonna do well, but
See, there's more of that trash talk, John.
I like it. That's my style. I like it.
It's the Sandman, you know.
It's a sad
All
man.
right, Miles. Thanks again.
all right.
Thank
No,
you very much.
thanks for having me.
Yep.
All right. So, Gabriel, both those guys seem like phenomenal young men. I mean, between them, 11-0. Unfortunately, one of them is going to probably lose because that's how it works in sports. I mean, it could be a draw, but the odds are that's not going to happen, and that probably wouldn't be good for either of them either.
No.
Um,
No.
but so, how do you go about finding talent for these matches?
Well, with I'm fairly new to promoting, and with the way that we promoted boxing in Atlanta, now when we put an ad out, or the boxers know that we're going to do a show, they come find us. They know what we can do for their career, and that's the whole business plan, is to give them a platform to springboard to the next level. Like we were talking about, we've had 4 guys that's come through our fight card that's gotten big contracts. Title Boxing, OTX is big out here in Atlanta. Two of our guys got contracts there, and DAZN. So when you want to be a professional boxer and catapult to the next level, and you're sitting back and watching what we're doing hey, I want to get on their card. Look what they did for this guy. I want them to do that for me. So that's what we want. And again, we want the guys that are starting fresh, starting new. You know, when they get to be famous and, the De La Hoyas and all those guys, the Floyd Mayweathers, I mean, they can pretty much take care of themselves, but that's what we want to do. So it's not hard for us to find fighters to fight on the card.
Yeah, I mean, guys like that, Miles and Micah, both undefeated. Miles had 7 wins. So where is kind of like the cutoff? Do wins matter? Is it the quality of opponent?
With boxing, I mean, the commissioner holds the gate key. So when you're putting a fight card together, it has to be approved by the commissioner. And if the commissioner doesn't think it's going to be a good fight, guess what? He's going to kick it back and say, hey, why should I let this go? So you have to find a good balance. Once guys start getting into about 10 wins, maybe more, financially, it doesn't make sense because their opponents can be extremely expensive. But as the label grows, as the company grows, you get more sponsors, you get more ability to do things financially, and that kind of opens up the door, and that's kind of how we'll bring this thing from the ground up. But yes, it does make a difference. I mean, when guys get a decent record and they're veteran guys, I had a guy today that called me. He was 20 wins and 3 losses, and he wants to get on the card. It's like, I financially can't find an opponent even, for you to make this fight. So, and it's just so short amount of time.
Can you explain what that means to our audience? What that means when you say financially you can't find an opponent?
Well, so in boxing, when you have a guy okay, let me just back up. I do boxing a little bit untraditionally than most promoters. I don't sign fighters. That's something that I just didn't agree with. So if I have a boxer that wants to fight, they have to have some form of a budget that can come through ticket sales or it could come through cash out of their pocket from a sponsor. Okay. That cash, those financials are used to pay for the opponent and some other expenses that come with the fight. So that is the measuring stick. If somebody calls JB Promotions and says, hey, I want to get on your card, the first question I ask them is, what's your budget? So that's how the initial negotiations start. If you've got $2,000, but you're 10-0, guess what? I can't find anybody for you. But if you've got, $6,000 and you're 10-0, now we can talk, because I know that, you can't get an opponent for that kind of money. This is the real deal. So those are how the negotiations start. Everything's negotiable because it's boxing. And some people will make and give concessions and do you favors. Hey, guy, I didn't sell as many tickets as I should have. Let me try it again. Let's see what we can do. So there's a lot of different ways that it can be put together, but that's just the basis of how it starts.
Makes sense. I mean, both of those guys seem like really good young men. Seem like they're going to be phenomenal pros. They've started off their career well. But like we said, one of them's probably going to lose. How much is it going to hurt their career with a loss here? And what do they do next after that?
Okay, so my opinion is probably going to, I have a different opinion than what the status quo is. I don't think it really hurts their career that much, because I know good fighters. I've seen good fighters take one loss, and guess what? It just makes me want to watch them and see what they're going to do next, and they can build from that. I don't believe, like right now, a lot of these fighters believe that they have to pretty much structure their fighting path to not take a loss. But the problem with that is that at some point the rubber's going to meet the road, and you're going to have to fight somebody, and you're going to have to, possibly take a loss that just comes with success. If you don't do that, that big contract that Miles and Michael were talking about might come your way, and guess what? You might get some bad news when you step into that ring. So it just depends on how you look at it. Me personally, I don't think a loss really hurts your record that much. You might not be that valuable, but it's, to me, put on a show, build your fan base. People are going to come and people are going to watch. Just because you lose doesn't mean your career is over. Everybody wants to be Floyd Mayweather, but everybody's not Floyd Mayweather.
No.
So, all right. So, yeah, Joe.
I was just going to ask, do you think also it when you lose, it goes by how you lose? Do you think that factors in?
No, I don't think it factors in. Whether you get knocked out in the first round or you get knocked out in the 6th round.
Doesn't make a difference.
So L is a L. Okay. I think the last thing that you don't want to do that would probably hurt more than an L is a draw, because nobody can really figure out what's heads or tails from that. But it's just my opinion on that.
Yeah.
Interesting. So, all right, say for example, one of them loses, right? Now, how do you decide first off if it was an entertaining fight, if you want to do a rematch? And is this something that you would ever do with your type of promotion where it's young guys getting into it? Or after that, if one of them comes back now with the loss and they lose again, how much does that hurt them in their career going forward?
Now, a double loss can hurt you. I mean, that can hurt you because the promoter's going to ask himself, who wants to buy this? Who wants to see that? It's not going to be too many people that are going to say, I do. Um, it's kind of difficult for me to decide, but I think a double loss is definitely something that you don't want to do. Now, a great fight, we're there. We're streaming this on networks, and we're catching the vibe from the crowd. If after a fight the crowd gets out of their seat and the whole place goes crazy, and that's happened before, it's like, hey, we're on to something. It's hard to judge that because every fight is different, but the crowd will let you know. And I'm gonna be there doing, handling business, but I'm gonna be watching the fight too. And if I liked it, hey, you got to come back. So if you have a snoozer and the crowd's not really, nothing really happened, it's hard to sell that. So I mean, again, it's just all about preparation. When you go in there, every fight has its own little beast that grows from that. But some guys, I will honestly say, whether they're losing or they win, they just look better than others.
Now,
That
how
makes sense.
now the opposite end of that question, how do these guys, or how do you help these guys elevate once they win, once they come off of a win? How do you help them continue to elevate their status and continue to get better fights? How does that happen?
Well, again, I'm an unconventional promoter, so I don't sign fighters. What we do after a fight is we put the content out after the fight and let everybody see that wasn't there, what happened, and
Okay.
people are watching. And those people that are watching know other people that have interest, and they'll get a phone call. And when they get that phone call, 10 to 1, we won't know about it until they're actually fighting. I've been places where it's like, hey, so and so is fighting, and I'm like, I can't believe it. Really, what time? So. And that's what we want. I don't want to have control over anybody's career. I want these guys to put in hard work and have control of their own destiny. If they can do that off of what we produce out of this show, then that's great. That's what we want. But it's up to them. They have to also market themselves. They have to push this stuff out themselves. It's only one night,
Yeah.
and we could carry the content for 2 weeks after the fight, but then what? It's your choice. Do you want to go sit on the couch after your fight, or do you want to go out there and look for your next one? We like fighters that are just as hungry as we are and that have the same goals and ambitions that we do and the same drive. And those guys that do, opportunity comes knocking on their door after our fights.
So, do most fighters sign with promotions, or are there a lot more independent fighters?
There's some fighters that are independent that don't have managers or promoters. And, those guys were the type of guys that we targeted when we started. And then you've got other fighters that have managers, but they may not have promoters. And then you've got guys that have managers and promoters. To me, just looking at the business from a business mind, I really have a hard time, and I get it, everybody's different, but I really don't think that you, to a certain extent, need a manager. You can read your own contracts, and if you can't, it's something, it's only a page long. But the ability to be plugged into big fights, sometimes just depends on what your records are. Like once you get past 6-0, I would suggest that you get a manager and try to get on a big stage. But getting, your feet wet, just from what I've seen from the outside looking in, I don't know if I would do it because you have to pay a fee for that. And if you're serious about boxing, then you should be able to find opportunity, especially if you're good.
Interesting. So, besides what you do in Atlanta, how many other local promoters are there in the city right now that you know of?
When I first started boxing promotions this last year, I believe it was, or 2022, it was about, I want to say 4 or 5 guys promoting shows that I knew of. And when I got interested in it, I didn't care who they were. I went to all of their shows and I sat in the front row. since we started picking up steam with JB Promotions, there hasn't been too many promoters in the city of Atlanta doing shows. I think that what we do is a little bit different, and the marketing dollars that we spend on our shows is a little bit different. So, I think the appeal kind of left for them for whatever reason. That's just my opinion.
Well, we're running short on time, Gabriel. This is Gabriel Bell of JB Promotions. Their fights are going to be Saturday the 30th, March 30th at the Atrium. The doors open at 6. The first bell's at 7. You saw Micah Hunt, who's 4-0, versus Miles Mizell, who's 7-0. So most likely that's going to change come Saturday the 30th. It's going to be interesting to see. They both seem like they're capable. They seem like they have great personalities, and it's going to be fun to see who's going to pull that out, especially with the history between them.
Yeah.
Everybody in Atlanta is excited, and I also want to give Eruption Boxing a shout out. Say hi, Gwen. Thank you, Sugar Burt Boxing Promotions. What's going on, Burt? You guys are doing a great job. Big things. It was a big day at Stonecrest Mall. They got a big amateur boxing Golden Glove show coming up on April 5th. But before that, we're gonna have our Fight Fest at the Atrium March 30th. As JB said, doors open at 6. First bell is at 7. If you're in Atlanta or you're just visiting or you live out here or whatever, come to Stone Mountain. The address is 5479 Memorial Drive, Stone Mountain, 30083. You want to buy a ticket? Come to j.be.promotions on Instagram. The link is in the bio. Click, boom, right there. Come have a good time. Bring your family, bring your girlfriend, bring your kids. It's going to be a great fight card. Great night.
Definitely. I wish I was down in Atlanta that weekend. I would love to go see it, but I know it's going to be another fabulous promotion.
I cannot wait till you guys come down and see one of our events live. It's going to be awesome.
We look forward to it.
Yes,
Awesome.
I cannot wait. But Gabriel, pleasure talking to you. Can't wait to talk to you for the next event. This looks like it's going to be a good one. John, any last words?
No, that's it.
Thank you guys for having
John,
me back on again. I really appreciate it.
Anytime, man. Anytime.
Thanks for joining
JB Promotions, Gabriel Bell. This has been a special Sideline Sports Sunday noon edition. Make sure you tune in every Wednesday morning on WDJY and 99.1, 7 to 8 a.m. Sideline Sports every Tuesday night on all the social medias, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. We'll see you there. Until next time, we're out.